And we're live. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week's episode of the Daytripper Photo Show. Today is our photo review for the photo challenge, Sharp. We've already got some questions in the Q&A, and I'm just going to quickly go to it. Martin Ingalls, who Phil and I both know very well, and you know Martin too, don't you, Gabriel?
Yeah, Martin's the bomb.
Martin's the bomb.
And he's so old that he doesn't understand what the bomb means.
It starts already. Sorry, Martin. He says, is there such quality as sharp enough or close enough in sharpness to be acceptable? It is such a Martin question. Phil, why don't you answer it?
Well, I don't know. I think I have my own opinion answers as well. Like, I feel like for something that we have challenge called Sharp, you could come at it two ways. You could have sharpness in the shot and have sharpness in a sharp image, or you could have, the lack of sharpness and have that be your actual, communication point for the sharpness or the sharp contest.
But there's a lot of other things that sharp could have been. It could have been, sharp-witted. It could have been, sharp-dressed man. It could have been sharp cheese. It could have been so many different ways to look at it. It's not just
exactly
show us a sharp photo, right?
Exactly.
So
it's more than it's a word, but it can be used to describe something. Could be as the subject of a shot, as you were saying, or it could be the subject matter in the case of cheese.
Mm-hmm. In the case of
cheese.
All right, well, for those of you who don't know what's going on right now, this is the Daytripper Photo Show. We love talking about photography stuff and so on. We have 3 separate shows that we do. We have a tips and techniques show, which is actually on next week, which is going to be a lot of fun. We have a banter show, which we did the last week, which is always a lot of fun. But our fella here to the far left of the window hasn't been here for a couple of weeks. You've been off partying.
I've been off partying and recovering from
your
partying.
Window looks like.
What's that, Phil? Is Phil frozen or am I frozen?
Lagging out.
Phil's lagging out.
He's lagging out.
How we situated in
tell
your
us.
window? In my window, he's in the middle.
Oh, he's in the middle on your window. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Well, he's there. He's big window right now. Everybody can see him. So you're on the spot there, Gabriel. What have you been up to the past 2 weeks that you haven't been on the show?
Well, the first week I was on vacation in Vegas for my 40th birthday with my wife and 8 of our closest friends, which was mostly awesome.
No. I was gonna say your 40th. That's really surprising. I'd say you didn't look a day over 47.
Oh,
oh my!
It's amazing going to the States and getting carded like everywhere.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's just like I love
You're
it
like,
so
but
much.
I'm buying a coffee crisp.
And then last week, of course.
And then last week, I was recovering from what will only be referred to as the tequila incident.
Yes.
Which happened in Vegas on my birthday and took me several days to recover from. And also resulted in everybody that I was with buying me a T-shirt that says, Vegas, best night ever, I think. So they had to sort of fill me in the next day on all the wonderful things that transpired that evening.
Well, I'm glad you survived because
like someone else is telling you a story, but you're the protagonist.
I know, it was amazing. I walked down to the coffee shop the next morning. I got a standing ovation. I'm like, okay, I remember buying everybody around a tequila, and then I remember waking up on the bathroom floor.
So what does the coffee shop have to do with this? Do they serve tequila at coffee shops in Vegas?
No, that's where we met every single morning.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's one of those accidental things that, you don't really want to spend the first day of your 40s praying for the sweet release of death. I tried really hard to not do that, but it was also my first time drinking tequila, and apparently we don't get along.
Well, no, that's tequila. Let's be honest.
Yes. But no, you know what? It was an amazing trip. Went to the Grand Canyon, went to the Red Rock Mountains, did a lot of photography, took a lot of awesome pictures, and I'm just now starting to go through all the pictures that I took and cull through them, pick out my favorites, and it was very productive and really great to hang out with friends.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're back.
Me too.
for a banter show without Gabriel, it was a different thing. But Philip, man,
Less bantery.
we held up pretty good.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we even had a visit from our old friend Navi,
That we did.
Nice.
which was a lot of fun. Navi driving home in her car, and she audio chatted with us during the show, which was really cool.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
they made it snack.
And then she made it cucumbers. Okay.
I also got, just maybe for the end of the show, if we have time, I picked up my little toy down that I had shipped to me in Vegas to save me the Canadian shipping, the Loom Cube. So if we have time at the end of the show, maybe I'll go over this. And
Sure. That sounds good.
Okay.
That came in handy on Sunday.
Yes, it did.
Speaking
As
of
we
which,
call it the second sun.
yeah, no kidding. Sunday was our last day trip. It was the Fire on Ice spin-off. It was awesome.
Actually, I want to correct you. The most recent day trip.
Yeah, not the last.
The other way of phrasing that sounded bad.
True. It was the most recent day trip that we've
There
done
you go. Thanks.
this
I caught
past
that too.
Sunday. Thank you. There are many more to come. But it was great. It was the Fire and Ice spinoff. It was our third annual episode version thing. Time doing it. And yeah, we had a great time. So many people are sharing. I'm shocked how many people are sharing their photos from this session. It's more than most sessions. People had such a great time.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
So yeah, the steel wool's always looking really cool, and it was perfect weather. It was rainy, not really rainy, but melty and wet before. We did the session. It was like 10 degrees. It was beautiful outside.
Perfect.
And then as soon as we were done, I came home and I'm looking out my back window and it starts to pour. So classic
Really good timing.
day tripper photo weather timing. It's awesome.
It was the first annual fire on some type of slushies type.
Yeah, exactly. Not fire on ice, fire on mud. Well, so yeah, I'd like to thank everybody who came on the session. We had 5 spinners, and the guys were all amazing. I even gave funky little mini spinner steel wool whisks to everybody as a little prize for spinning. We had 12, 13 people shooting, which was great. So thank you to everybody. We had a great time, and we look forward to the next session that we do. Heather says, yeah, Fire and Ice was a great time and great weather. It's classic. It's just classic, right? That's what happens with Daytripper. I say it so many times, expecting that luck to go the other way, and it just doesn't. Yeah. So I keep on saying it. Okay, so another big thing happened in the Daytripper community today. We got our 400th member.
Yay!
I know, it's pretty cool. It's still a private community, and to get 400 members is pretty huge. I think what that means, though, is I have to go through and start eliminating people. What do you think?
No, nonsense.
I think there's like duplicates and stuff like that in here.
Maybe not.
We'll see.
Be happy with the 400.
I'm happy with the number 400, so we'll keep it at that for now. Now, I've got a bit of a political moment. Now, y'all know, southern states, y'all. You know that we're not a political show.
No.
And to be honest with you, I'm not a political person in any way, shape, or form.
The only party lines we draw are Canon or Nikon.
And Pentax.
Nikon is Donald Trump.
And sometimes we're even.
No, Pentax is the independent. But
Bernie Sanders.
yeah.
Bernie
Okay, so
Supreme.
Bernie Sanders, it's interesting because I'm from Vermont, and I hear somebody from Vermont, and of course my first thought is, hey, he's got to be a down-home, logical kind of guy. I'd vote for him. But there's this big swell of activity for a frickin' moron. Yeah, I said it. Like, I'm sorry, I lived in the States when Donald Trump went bankrupt. I remember all the stupid stuff that he said. Oh, yeah, I know, right. Which time?
Wait, he said?
Oh, he said,
He's still saying that.
Did and does on a daily basis. It appalls me to think that anybody would vote for Donald Trump. So, there was a video made by John Oliver last week tonight with John Oliver. And I got to recommend everybody search out this video. It is classic. It is intelligent. It's accurate, a lot of it.
Well-researched.
A lot of research, and it really paints a different picture. And if everybody saw this video and still voted and wanted him to win, and he became the American president, I'm saying it right now, the United States will get what it deserves if he is president. It's sad, because it's going to be trouble. That's all I
This is
gotta
not an election in the United States. This is an IQ test, and it's not looking good.
Exactly. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You know how what people say about opinions. This is just mine. and has no bearing on how these guys feel about it. You didn't know I was even going to get into this probably, but
well, we could, but I will admit that Donald Trump is.
Donald what?
I've read some interesting things that he's actually supposed to be there and supposed to be as outlandish as possible, because he's actually good friends with. Now we're getting to super skeptical conspiracy territory here, but he's actually good friends with the Clintons. Would you guess? And so it started off that every time something bad came up for the Clintons or for Hillary, he would come out the next day with something equally ridiculous to say, and so the attention was drawn away from them to him. And so there's a conspiracy going around that he's not actually in it to win. He's in it to be so crazy and so outlandish that the only reasonable choice is Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah. Make Donald Trump again.
So actually, funny, you say Donald Trump, and this is what makes me happy. I actually went to watch that video that I'm talking about, and there's something called a Drumpfinator Chrome extension that you can download. So every time the name Donald Trump comes up on your computer screen, if you're using Chrome, it'll replace Trump with Drumpf, which is apparently his actual last name. What?
No, finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say it's funny that he slams people for not being proud of their heritage, and yet he's the one who has his last name changed from Drumpf to Trump.
Yeah. Can I just say to the people listening to this saying, oh, I'm sick and tired of this election, the American election is in October. You have no idea how lucky we are here in Canada. Like, I think the last election ran like 6 weeks, and we're like,
and it was a record.
We're so sick of this. Yeah, like theirs goes. Oh my God! I heard that on the news today. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just the beginning. Oh my God, I can't stand this.
This is to elect the candidate that is then going to run for president. It's not even running for president.
Yeah.
I feel very bad for my American friends and family having to deal with this right now. Mom, I'm sorry you have to listen to this every day down in Florida, dealing with all this stuff.
Move the flying spaghetti monster, have mercy on your pasta bowl.
Or move back to Canada. That's all I got to say.
We don't really have winter anymore, so you might as well.
Global warming!
On that point, I do want to thank the weather gods for dumping about a foot of snow over the past 24 hours. Finally, we have a winter. Finally, I get some exercise shoveling. I know it sounds stupid. Again,
going to be 15 degrees next week.
Yeah, it'll be gone. Okay. So on to photography news. There's been a release from Nikon saying that there is another fix for issues with the D750. Apparently Nikon has noted that some users have noticed that they, when photographing scenes in which a bright light source is in the shot, such as the sun or high-intensity lighting, a certain position along the top border of the frame will show flare and an unnatural shape. So I've seen it a few times on some customers' cameras, and I got to give Nikon a bit of credit for being proactive and saying, hey, there's a problem, we'll take care of it, give us the cameras, we'll do it. Nonetheless, it's still a pain in the butt for everybody.
Absolutely.
So I think what I always try and remind myself is the fact that this is electronics, and electronics are not perfect. So they can fail. I recommend warranties for this reason, so you don't have to pay shipping in any of these cases. And after the first year, 2 years, because we have 2 years warranty on Nikon up here in Canada, repairs are not cheap. So the best thing you can do is protect your gear and be confident in that the manufacturer and the retailer you bought it from will support you if there are issues like this. So good job for Nikon for putting the word out there and being proactive. Unlike what they did with the D600 situation, they're like, no, there's no problem. No. Meanwhile, they put aside $1 billion for a lawsuit fund. That's
how corporations work, right? You take a look at it and you're like, well, what would the cost of fixing this be? And what would the cost of just basically paying out a settlement be? And if the cost of paying out the settlement is less than actually doing your job, they're going that route, which is kind of a poopy way of the culture working.
That's a technical term.
It's all about the bottom line.
A poopy way.
Absolutely. Well, I thought I would, for some reason, go PG today. There are children that watch this show.
At least one I know. Okay. Well, good for being a very Smart fellow. Okay. Next thing. Next course of action.
Gotta hear it sometimes.
Just want to remind everybody that the survey is still up. You can still take the Daytripper photo survey to help us make this show and the day trips better. To find that survey, I'm going to do a quick screen share here just to show people how easy it is to find anything in a Google Plus community. So let's see if I can do this. Here we go, screen share. Bing.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully Google.
Yes, no Bing involved. Good point. Okay, so there's a new post. Is there another? Okay, that's me. So if you ever want to find anything, but it's buried somewhere in that page, the best thing to do is go right here where it says Search Community and just type in Survey. And enter, and boom, look at that. Right there at the top of the page, there's the survey. So if anybody wants to take it, feel free, go for it, and share that survey with us, and let us know what you think. I want to ask our viewers, does the video look jumpy or anything to anybody tonight?
It might just be my connection, but every once in a while, everything kind of like freezes and then plays back and fast forward for like a second. So I don't know if I'm chiming in at the right times. I don't know if it's my connection. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So it seems perfectly fine to everyone else. Then ignore me. I'm just crazy.
Okay. Well, we'll get some feedback hopefully on that. And to do the feedback, if you don't know and you're watching and you want to be involved in the show, there's a part of this Hangout called the Q&A. If you hover your mouse over the chat window that you're looking at right now, along the left side there'll be some options. One says Q&A. Click on that, and along the right side you'll be able to type in anything you want and say hi or join in the conversation. Let us know what you think about the photos or our comments on the photos, and make this a big, fun community kind of show.
Absolutely.
And while you're at it, join the community on Google+, because there's all the cool stuff that we do is always posted there first. It's a fun group. We just hit 400 people, so it's pretty active. We get a lot of people posting and sharing their images, which is great. Lots of tips and techniques that we post there as well. And if you like what we're doing here on the show, click like on the YouTube channel. Share this with your friends. Subscribe to our channel so you'll get notified every single time we post a new show. And the last thing I want to quickly mention before we get into our photo challenge review for this week is I'd love to thank our newest sponsor. We mentioned it last week on the show. Pretty stoked about it. The fact that now Sennheiser headphones and microphones is now sponsoring the show. It's going to add a lot to our day trips. We're going to have some swag that we can give away. And the best part to me is the fact that on March 30th, Justin Ald will be on our show, and he's a rep for Sennheiser in the first of a two-part series called Sound and Vision. So the sound part, Justin's going to be on talking about headphones and microphones and audio and how important it is to making good videos by having really clear audio. We're going to get into that. And then the second part of the show will be the vision part of it, where we'll have a video expert come on and talk about how to clean up video and do some quick edit and really make the video the important part of what you're doing. So the Sound and Vision themed shows going to be a lot of fun. That's all starting on March 30th. So Gabe, yeah, you weren't here for all that.
I was not, no.
Sennheiser is now part of the whole shindig, so that's pretty
awesome.
Cool.
That's great.
I think so.
It's really, when I work, when I edit, I listen to music, everything from house to classical to EDM. So sound quality is super important for that, but for listening. But if I listen to a lot of podcasts and research a lot of stuff on YouTube, and if you have crappy or let's say okay video, but your audio is impeccable, you've got my attention. Mm-hmm. If you've got perfect crisp video and bad audio, I can't do it. And the audio in video is or in podcasts or things like that is usually more important than the video content.
Absolutely agreed. And if there's pops or clicks or all these weird little things, you just tune out. You just turn it off.
Yeah.
So that's not even the audio quality. That's just all the peripherals and the connectivity that could cause that. So we'll get into all that. That'll be a fun show.
I think so.
All right. So why don't we do a screen share and start talking about these photos for our photo challenges? Who would like to do the screen share tonight?
Well, since my connection seems a little jumpy, I probably wouldn't recommend me.
That would mean you, Gabriel.
All right, I can do that. Just give me one quick second. I'm trying a new. Here we go. New setup here where I'm down to one monitor and my secondary monitor is my iPad.
Oh, jeez.
So I have to. Yeah, if anybody has an iPad and a Mac or a PC, and you want to use a two-monitor system, but you don't have a desk that's big enough or something like that, there's an app for the iPad called Duet, D-U-E-T. Let me make sure I'm actually... Yeah, Duet, D-U-E-T. It's like 22 bucks, but it works on Mac and PC flawlessly, and it turns your iPad into a second monitor. It's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Does it work on like an iPhone or an Android phone too?
It will work on an iPhone, although everything's really, really small. It does not work on an Android phone.
Ah, bugger.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, there's a cute cat.
Okay.
Okay, so
There we go.
the photo challenge this week was Sharp, and we've got a few pretty cool photos. Just want to thank everybody for submitting for the challenge this week. And we've got one that's kind of creepy, and, well, two almost that are kind of creepy. And that is the best kind as far as I'm concerned. Just saying. But why don't we start off with Trish? Now, I didn't even notice, but these are two separate edits.
I'm going to, sorry to jump in, I'm just going to sign out and sign back in for a second, see if I can make something go faster here.
Okay, sure. And on that note, I'm actually going to sign out of Google Photos and try and, just in case anything is slowing down on my end.
Okay, you seem good on my end, but...
Okay, cool. So the first photo from Trish, I didn't notice about the edit until it was pointed out just before the show. I think it's the first photo that's actually cleaner.
Yeah, so if you look at the photo, I don't know how he zooms in on images, but when he shares, he's able to zoom in on images, and for some reason I can't.
By he, you mean Phil?
Phil, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't zoom in, but yeah, if you look here, the pink color is a little bit better, and there's no banding in the sky here. But if we go to the other one, here the photo is a lot smaller. There's a lot of particleization around the icicles, and you can see Ben is really struggling for what those are called. Icicles.
Yeah, that's it.
And a lot of banding in the coloration in the sky there. So let's ignore this one because we like big and beautiful.
Yes.
And let's focus on this one because we like big and beautiful. So,
and this is the one that was actually shot with the 60D. All the EXIF is intact and so on. And I guess the other one must have been compressed and edited. And I'm thinking sharpened and, you know.
Like this one's 5,000 by 3,300, whereas this one here is 1,000 by 667. So,
right.
You know, people, if you're going to share, share however you want and however you feel comfortable. But just remember, we love big and beautiful.
Also,
that's why we all love Brian.
Oh, well, aren't you special? Keep in mind, too, though, if we're doing a review, one of the things we look at is photo quality. And if we see that it's all, over-processed or grainy, that may end up in the critique where the original photo didn't have that. So something to keep in mind. And to speak of this photo, I think it has a great sense of cold and mood. The exposure is pretty great, except for possibly a little bit of highlights on top of the, right there. But that's something that can be corrected very easily in Photoshop. In fact, next week on our Tips and Techniques show, it's the top 5 Photoshop and Lightroom tips that everybody should know. And one of those tips is going to be a highlight tool to help you make sure that your highlights aren't blown out. It's a easy thing to do, and that'll be on next week's show. It'll be a lot of fun.
Daytripper Photo reviews the top 5 tips, and what they reveal will astound you. Yeah, little clickbait there. Little clickbait.
I like that. Phil, you're back.
I am. I think everything should be better. I somehow now have a faster connection, apparently, and so I'm hoping that'll fix things.
Excellent.
But
Roger's got an extra
going to get a call tomorrow. Not a happy one. It's been going on for a little bit, and it's progressed to a level that is unacceptable for what we pay.
Give him poop.
I'm going to.
There you go.
But nicely, because it's not the guy in the call center's fault. It's something going on, and so he's not going to be able to do. Well, he or she won't be able to actually do anything. So, worst case scenario, they can send a technician out. So, you can't get angry at the person. It's just their job to answer the phone.
Yeah, it's always a fine line to walk because you know it's not their specific fault, but you also want to make your frustration known.
Yeah.
So usually I yell and then I apologize, and then I yell and then I apologize.
You're like, this really isn't your fault.
Nice.
All right, let's get back to the photo here.
Let's do it.
So we already talked briefly, Phil, about how the two pictures were different. One was over-processed, so we're looking at the un-over-processed photo. I just made the comment that it's got a great sense of cold and mood. The exposure is really good, except for a bit of highlight on top of the umbrella. What do you think about the shot?
I'm just going to pull it back up here. I definitely like I'm going to call it the under-processed version. Excuse me. I feel that it has a much clearer look in the shot. The other one, as I imagine you guys have discussed, is a little too processed. You start to see the actual color changes in the shot. So with the under-processed one here, I like it. I think it fits the sharp category. It's we get the feeling of the cold from it, so it could be sharp air. You have the pointy icicles. I like that it kind of fades into the background where you have front here you have the one umbrella, and then it slowly kind of goes out of focus as they move farther away from you. I think it's an interesting shot.
What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I like it. I like it because I know exactly where it is, and so I look at it and I get the memories of there in the summer because that's usually when I'm there. In the summer with the family, and it's an accurate representation of the area, and then also with sharp, I can feel the sharpness on my nose in the winter.
On your nose only.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean you're right. There's maybe a little bit of clipping on the top, but I don't think it retracts from the image.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, that's even in my note. Possibly a bit of highlight, but not really at a fault.
Right.
If I could give a compositional trick or a thought to think about in a shot like this, my first thing would be the rule of odds. A picture like this is, there's 4 umbrellas in the shot. I think if you were to remove the one on the top on the left and just have those 3, that would be a completely different dynamic.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying Photoshop it out. I'm just saying in a situation where you have 4 things in the photo in the future, maybe try and remember that by only having 3, it's a more powerful image, and it might even give you that triangle power kind of vibe to the shot as well. You guys, what do you think about that idea, Phil?
I don't know. I kind of like the pattern flowing in. I think the 4 works, but I know there are situations where not having it, cutting it down, would work a little better. But I think I'm on the fence. Could go both ways with the shot.
Mm-hmm. Just an idea, just something to think about.
I agree with Brian. So, just picturing that as only 3 is more appealing.
Yeah, like if you just put your thumb over the top left one.
Yeah, especially because it is a very sharp. It's pretty in focus in comparison to the 2 back ones. So I get what you guys are getting at, and I do feel it could make the picture maybe a bit more impactful, but it would also change the shape and it'd be a weird square crop. Ish.
Well, I'm not saying crop it out.
Just try and take the picture without it. If they were to have knelt down maybe a foot or so, then that picture would have not. That umbrella would not have been in that picture.
Yeah, something more along that line.
Yeah, but also then it would be more from underneath. We're gonna play devil's advocate here. It's gonna be more from underneath. You'd see under the umbrella as opposed to just the icicles, which I imagine were the the point of the shot.
Right.
Unintended entirely.
Well, it's a nice photo, and it's great that you submitted it for us.
Nice photo.
It spawns a great discussion.
Absolutely. Just things to think about. All right, let's move along.
Over here.
Let's check out Jerry's photo. And just a reminder to everybody watching one more time, if you have any kind of thoughts or comments or opinions on what we have to say, that's what the Q&A is for. Chat to us, let us know what you think. All right, so here's Jerry's sharp as a tack.
I love this photo.
Literally.
Okay, so why don't you start? Why don't you tell us why you love this shot?
Well, I love it because it's got a great depth of field. I like that he used a clear tack, although I think it would be interesting to use like a red tack or something like that lit well. But it reminds me of my ongoing frustration with how dirty everything on this godforsaken mudball called Earth is once you get under a macro lens. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, wow, look at this awesome looking tack. And you put it under a macro lens and you're like, oh my God. Like, it's like doing jewelry photography and stuff like that. You can spend 5 minutes trying to dust a piece of jewelry and then take the picture and still have 45 minutes of editing.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a bit of like a hair or residue around the base of the tack.
Yeah, there's some stuff down here. There's some dust along here, or nicks or something like that. There's some hair on the actual tack. I mean, it's just, kudos on him for getting it sharp enough that you can see all that detail. That's great. It's a wonderfully executed photo. But it also reminds me just how dirty everything is.
That's true.
That's ISO 1250. So I'm noticing a little bit of grain in the blue, which is kind of hard to hide because, it's a dark color and noise will really show up in that. But I'm wondering, at 1/200th of a second at 85 millimeters, if maybe he was on a tripod, if he could have gone down to a lower ISO.
I'm wondering about that too. There's a couple photos that were submitted for this challenge that made me question some settings choices. I didn't even notice on this one that the ISO was higher, but when you zoom into 100% on it, you can see that it is a bit chunky, and that explains it. My first thought, though, was, again, kind of a compositional thing. What if we kind of, like, I love the fact that it was shot in a macro light box, because it's good lighting.
Yeah,
light
okay,
from the
that
side,
explains it.
right? And that's what the cloth on the bottom is, that blue backdrop that comes down from underneath. My thought would be, and what do you guys think of this? Again, just an idea. What if the bottom was cropped away, and it was closer? Just the
so
top.
you do like a 16:9 sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of like a 16:9. The tack doesn't even need to be in the center. It could be off to the side or something. But if the bottom was just kind of cropped away a little bit, so it was the top of the tack, and then you didn't see the fabric on the bottom, it would be like a floating tack. You wouldn't notice it had been shot in a macro box per se.
Okay. I get where you're getting at.
Yeah, just where that fabric is, right? Even just hold a pencil up there or something.
Yeah.
But, shot at higher ISO, that would explain why it does have a bit of a chunk to it. But still, great, clear shot.
Oh, yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
any other thoughts to add?
The only thing I was going to add is actually the same thing that Gabriel had was, like you mentioned, that maybe not being in the center part of things, and how dirty everything is. And I kind of like the fact that it has the imperfections in the clear plastic, because it just shows the process of making the tack. The little dot on the bottom would be maybe where the injection molding was. I'm imagining that's how they make tacks. I have no idea. But I do agree that maybe like just the hairs on the actual tack itself, maybe get rid of those, but keep the rest of the impurities. I kind of like that part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it didn't, and we were talking about cropping, and my computer does that fun thing when I try and look at a picture and it magnifies it all the way in for no reason.
And I can't get mine to zoom at all.
And so ours are doing the two opposite things. And so mine just magnified it up to like 100%. And so it shows like just the tack itself, like super cropped close, and it looks awesome. Like it's a really sharp picture even if you do crop it closer. And so you were mentioning cropping it to be a little bit more, off the top and the bottom. There we go, with my hands. But even if you crop it like 100%, so you just have the tack filling the entire frame, which you can't really do with the macro lens. You can't get that close, but cropping it afterwards, you could, and it still has a really good level of detail, and it looks could look really cool cropped super close.
Well, Jerry's saying, yes, it was taken in a macro box, which to me implies that the tripod was also used. And with the tripod being used, you can go with slower shutter speeds, and with slower shutter speeds, you can go with a lower ISO, and ipso facto, a little more clarity, a little tighter croppability, and maybe that's a thought to try. What do you think?
Well, I do agree, and it is also just practice. If I don't know how often he's used his macro box, his light box to shoot, something super close like this, and it could be that he couldn't get the tripod into the box to get it close enough to the tack to get the shot he was looking for, so he may have had to handhold it. But there's it's experimentation, and it came out really well, and experiment more.
That's great. Anything to add to it, Gabe, or should we move along?
Let's move along.
All right, cool. Before we do that, we have a question in the Q&A from Stanislav. Stan's watching. He says, hey, all talking about sharpness. What is your favorite tool to sharpen the image? Thank you. In post-production, he says.
Should I start?
Yeah, why don't you start?
Sure. Depends what it is. If it's a landscape, then usually I just do, I fiddle around with the whole sharpening panel in Lightroom. If it's a person, then I bring it into Photoshop and get heavy because they have the sharpen while preserving details brush in Photoshop that's recently been improved even more from its amazingness that it was before. And I find that because usually you don't have to sharpen an entire image. You can just sharpen the eyes and get away with the rest because you don't want the pores and stuff to be too pronounced. And so, yeah, that's usually what I use.
Me as well. Phil, anything different?
Pretty much same thing.
So, yeah, start in Lightroom.
If I can do the entire picture, probably happening in Lightroom. If I need specific points, I'll go into Photoshop and get that extra level or pull out a layer and work that way.
Cool. So I hope that helps you out there, Stan. And I believe there will be some of the tips on next week's show as well. Jerry says that it was actually handheld for that photo of the tack. So that would make more sense as to why the ISO was higher, and you still got excellent sharpness considering that. So it's not a fail, it's just a question and a concern. Beautiful. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So this is Don's photo. Don, he has such a provoking style of photography, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's just so interesting the way he can visualize an image and then make it come out with this feel and grit to it. This is a super powerful photo, and the texture and the grain, I think, really works well in it.
Yes, well processed.
Yeah, it's a very hard-worked, tired hand by the look of it, like the thumb and the fingers. It looks like this is a person who has had some troubles and has lived a hard life and is turning to the sword, so to speak, to end things. I'm almost expecting to see like a blood pool trickling in from the left of the photo where his wrist is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's better that he doesn't have that. It's not gory. It's just implying.
Yeah, I listened to an interview with the guy that produced or directed or something, ER, and if you watch the very first episode, they used very little blood in the actual show, and the guy kept on having people come up to him and saying, "Oh my God, it was so bloody, it was so gory. Did you have to use so much blood?" And they used maybe 2 liters in the entire show, and so but they shot it in ways where the blood was implied, and people's imagination filled it in for them. So this one here, like if I think about this picture a week from now, I will remember it with blood, but the blood will be where my brain put it.
That's so true. Very interesting.
See, I have a different feeling for this picture.
Go for it.
And the different feeling could be because that's how I shave. I shave with that style of razor. I shave, the same way that my grandfather probably used to shave. I think now he uses an electric razor, but anyway, it's 100% easier. But I just for me, I just see kind of that style. When you think of someone that's going to shave with that kind of razor, not pointing fingers at myself, you usually think of someone that's maybe a bit more outdoorsy, maybe a bit more hands-on. They're not going to be soft and fluffy and perfectly manicured. It's going to be someone who's, done some work, who's not afraid of, doing things the harder way because it gives you a better result. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell right now. But to me, it seems like, a normal style picture. And in fact, to me, it kind of feels a bit more like an advertisement for the Wilson style, a Wilson brand of razors, because it feels like that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from it, at least.
Yeah.
And I think I might be on a different camp, because that's just, I'm used to seeing those razors around. I have them. I use them.
Makes sense. Yeah, and everybody always puts their own. You're always going to put your own interpretations into how you see these things. So that makes perfect sense. But you can't deny that the lighting is interesting. The brightest point on the photo is right where it says, not to correct you, Phil, but Wilkinson sword.
Yeah, I didn't zoom in to read the thing. I can't read. I'm actually illiterate.
Oh, okay. That's why you never followed me. I'm just joking. So yeah, it's neat how he's using light to draw the eye to something very important in the shot. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add there, Gabriel?
No, I think it's great.
Very cool.
Yeah, well processed, well executed, good imagination.
Now, Don actually submitted 2 images, this one and the one with music notes. So why don't we just quickly talk about the music notes one? We don't need to spend too much time on it, because it's just the first shot is what we're actually working with. But what do you think about this?
I like it. It's not, I'm going to admit, it's not the most creatively organized shot. I do like that everything in the shot is in focus, especially because if it is a sheet music, it probably has a curve to it, because it's probably in a book of some sort. I like it because it's a bit of a pun.
Sharp.
Yes.
The notes are sharp, yes.
Exactly.
What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah. I'm not blown away. I'm not overwhelmed by it. I love, like if you were to show me this picture and you were to show me the other picture, I wouldn't guess it was from the same photographer.
No.
Which, is maybe a testament to his variety. But I think he probably spent a lot less time on this one. This was probably just kind of, I know what else is sharp. Music notes, But it's missing that extra 10% that the other image has. And that's always what I'm looking for in an image, is a good image plus some wow.
And I like how you're circling around that note with your mouse. It's just kind of, it's like touch it.
The question I have is for kids that take music now, would they look at this and say, well, that's a treble clef, so it goes treble clef, hashtag.
Okay, now we're silly.
Why do they have hashtags on the old
now we're silly?
Now we're silly? Yeah, I know. Okay, so here's my take on this shot. And this goes back to kind of what you were just saying, Phil, how you take away from your own childhood and how you were raised and so on. My mother's a piano teacher, and I remember growing up and seeing the music, the sheet music on the table, on the piano side there, and the little lamp on, and the pages looked textured and old, and the light hit it just like this, and it kind of brings me back to that moment when I was a kid, sitting there at the piano trying to learn how to read these notes, and to me that's kind of a cool feeling as well. So I'm taking away from this one very much like what you took away from the other one, more of a personal attachment to it, so you see it differently, So I gotta say, the color, I think the texture and the grain work, the lighting works on this one. The warmth of the light, the texture of the paper gives it a special feeling. And like I say, it's like sitting at the piano when you're at nighttime practicing with the little table lamp on there. So that's just me. But it's very cool either way. And thank you, Don, so much for submitting your photos this week.
Thank you.
All right, so we're moving along to this creepy-looking shot. This guy, man. And you know what's funny? The best part about all this is he says he took it in one take. One shot. That's all you needed to get the shot.
On the second shot.
Yeah, he can't get the second because you have to do it with the other eye.
Good thing we have two.
So, okay, now if we look at it actually properly, the lighting on the face is perfect. Very clear to the point where the eyeball being so sharp and in focus, you can see the curve of the retina, you can see the clarity, you can see him staring that dart right down. And that's so powerful, having the good light on him. And of course the light on the dart is perfect as well. And as far as I'm concerned, the Canadian flag on there, it's a win. It's just me. Whatever. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I love the lighting on the face. The color tones and everything is very good and true to life. I mean, I don't really see anything to criticize. There's a little bit of a light drop on the backdrop coming close to the face, but it actually works because it gets a little bit darker on the background along here, but then the face is really bright, so it actually works along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't. It's good.
Cool. Well, Mark is watching now. He says hello, everyone. So hello, Mark. Good timing to start watching when we're talking about your shot here. Phil, what do you think?
I like this picture. Same agreements to everything we've looked at before. I like the fact that the tip of the dart is over the nose. Not a lot, just over the tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose a little bit. So that way you get the even larger feeling that it's actually going towards the eye. It's not like, well, here's a dart floating in space, and here's an eyeball. It shows the closeness between those two, and I don't know if it would have the same impact. Maybe pun intended. Of the shot, like I don't know if it was just in front of the bridge of the nose. I'm not sure if it would have the same impact to the shot that this has being over the bridge. It gives it that extra level of realism. Now I do have a criticism, because you guys didn't want to find one, and I decided to find one here.
All right.
And actually, it was something we were talking about earlier, and it was the semi-hidden watermark. Now I'm not going after it because it's a watermark. I'm going after it because it's actually a good point to look at. And so if we take a look at the writing on the dart itself, the M dot more, it I believe was added in afterwards. Partly because I think the top of the M might overhang the side of the dart. But there's ways of actually blending that into the dart. And so it's actually an interesting technique to kind of look up of how to blend writing into an object to make it look like it's on the object. Because the same technique used for hiding that and blending it to the curvature of the dart itself and the shape of the dart, it's the same technique you would use to add like a fake tattoo to someone. You overlay it, you blend it together. And I think that is really the only thing negative I have about it is fiddle with that a bit more, and it just ties it in. Because if you can get that to look right, then anytime you're adding lettering onto something, you're trying to hide writing in something, you can blend it into the background that much better, and it will look like it's supposed to be there.
Cool. And to that point, Mark, you took a long time positioning the dart where it should be, and everything you did for the shot took a lot of thought. That extra little bit could make a lot of difference, not only for this photo, but for photos in the future.
And to be fair, when I looked at this picture before, I did not notice that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only earlier when we were talking about it, and I ended up zooming into the picture completely because I have no idea what my computer does. That I noticed that wasn't, on the dart and that kind of thing. So it's other than that, it's awesome.
I love Mark's answer to this. He says the watermark was added after. He's not vain enough to monogram his darts.
You could give that illusion afterwards, though.
Well, this is the point, right? You're adding it, so an extra little step, and it would blend it in, the opacity a little bit different. Yeah, very cool.
Photoshop is vanity, huh?
Great shot, great concept. Definitely applies to the theme. Sharp. Well done, Mark, and thank you again for submitting for this week's photo challenge. All right, I think we've all had our 2 cents on it, yeah?
No, absolutely.
Cool.
Do we do
this one? Sure. So this is Reichson. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. It's an interesting photo. I love the feel of it. I love the look of it, the texture of the wood, the tools. I mean, all these things should make it a very compelling photo with the little wood chips and stuff like that. But it's soft overall. And
Mine's having a hard time loading.
Oh, okay. No, when I don't see sharpness throughout the entire shot, my first thought is it motion blur? So I checked out the EXIF information, and it doesn't look like it should be motion blur with the settings you chose. However, once again, this is a 6400 ISO photo.
Ah.
And at that ISO, pardon me?
3200.
3200. I thought it said 64.
I don't know. We should look at this. Maybe my computer's being even weirder, but it looks like on the EXIF data it's 32.
Okay, I may be wrong. Just triple check here. So again, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, my mistake. So 3200 ISO. Oh, it was his hockey photo. That was at 6400. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought is, again, 6400, 3200, it's going to look softer, and the colors are going to shift a little bit. So I'm wondering why it needed to be such high ISO. Is this another handheld shot? Or was this also on a tripod? And if it was on a tripod, you know what? You don't need 100th of a second when things aren't moving. So my only question is, was this tripod or was this handheld?
I personally, no, I don't know the shot. I don't know how he took it, but I would almost say, I would want to say handheld, because the blur almost looks, I don't know, it's on the fence. Like, it looks kind of like handshake when you get close enough, but it also kind of looks like the focus is just off. But I don't know.
Hard to say. But you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
right? Like, it's the words that we want to see sharp. The tools are secondary. The words are what we need to see sharp.
Overall, really cool idea. Like, well laid out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually what I have in my notes for this shot is, you know, it's excellent concept, excellent texture. It's a very compelling image. It should be.
Yeah. I like that sorry, I'm jumping in. I like that the tools aren't just in the shot. They're just not piled on top of a table. I like that the handles of the tools are what's driving your eye into the picture. It's flowing from this corner into the lettering. The lettering's flowing you out to the other side. I think it's very nice. And instead of just having it on black, it has, you know, the little wood chips that are just giving a little bit more depth to the shot.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Gabe?
Well, it's driving the OCD part of me insane because there's no YZ. So just finish the damn alphabet.
Well, he says, hi there. Here's my post for something sharp. Yes, I just took the photo. I forgot to change the date, which, again, we remind folks that the photo challenge is for new photos only, and this has an older date on there, but you know, he just changed the date after this, apparently. Have a good look at what I'm spelling, he says. YZ, no space. So I was trying to figure out what he meant by that. What he's spelling is the alphabet without YZ. You guys see anything more than I do there? Am I missing something?
I was trying to see if maybe the tools made this shape. I don't know.
XYZ. Maybe he has the tools in the.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
I don't see XYZ there. Oh, it's interesting. Maybe if you're watching Rexon, you can let us know.
Greek alphabet? I don't know.
Any thoughts on that, Gabriel?
Yeah, just put it on the damn wood. No, I like the concept. I like the wood shavings. I like, you know, as soon as when I saw it from here. Whoa, I totally lost it. Okay, just a second. When I saw it from zoomed out.
It looks sharp.
Here, yeah, it was a really compelling photo. It's just when you go a little bit closer and you see that it's a little bit soft, that some of it gets distracted, but no, I like it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's move along. We've got a few minutes left of the show, and we've got 3 more shots to get to.
Okay.
All right.
The tools point to the letters sharp. Oh, Mark, you are clever.
Oh.
SHARP. Well done.
Look at that.
Well done.
That's even creative, even more creative than we could have imagined.
Yes. Which would really make me even want more sharpness to a photo.
But then again, it brings back what we were talking about earlier. Sharpness could be the subject and not the picture.
Absolutely. Very cool. I'm actually very impressed. And thank you, Mark, for cluing us in. Obviously, my powers of perception are failing me. All right, so here's the next shot of the day. This is another shot that is very sharp indeed. Let's see here.
You'd almost call it E.
Oh, it was Haley's right. Haley noticed that, so she is pretty sharp, no doubt.
Yeah, my OCD is going crazy for this picture, which is because apparently Sharpie has opted not to put, you know, I guess trademark or licensing on the colors red and green.
Actually, it was in my notes as well. My OCD kicks into high gear with shots like these.
Totally. I don't even have OCD. It's
crazy. This shot just gave him OCD.
Okay, so my thoughts. I guess I'll start here. It's a great concept, and I could spend hours just aligning these things in a certain way to make them look cool. But I'm curious with the settings here. This was shot at f36, 0.8 of a second, and 500 ISO. So 0.8 of a second, I have to say this had to be a tripod.
Could be.
I mean, you can't handhold this at 1/8 of a second and have it clear, unless you have it resting on the table or something.
And it could be on the phone, which is why a slightly faster as opposed to slower shutter speed could have been useful.
Mm-hmm.
I know a 0.8 of a second is not very fast, but the difference between that and, a 5-second shutter speed could have been the difference.
Yeah. Or in the case of my photo, a 77 second.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, good. I didn't just lose
Not
Brian.
the sharpest.
Oh, he's back.
I'm back? Was I cutting out? Did you hear what I said?
Something about sharpness.
So basically, when your aperture's all the way open or all the way closed, it's never the sharpest your lens will give you.
Yeah.
So f36 with this lens is probably all the way closed.
I would say so. At 3.556?
Yeah. So I would think in an image like this, the ideal setting for a photo like this would be a combination of some things. First of all, bring the Sharpies away from the background, because the background is very obvious in the shot.
Now, they could be a far distance from the background, but it's also shot at 200 mil, which is going to squish this picture together.
Mm-hmm.
And also make it harder to get all of them in focus, if that's your goal.
It would, absolutely.
Compress your picture as far as bringing the background and the foreground closer together. It would also end up squishing your depth of field as well. So the normal depth of field you might be working with could be smaller, given the same aperture value, simply just zoomed in more.
So what are you saying? This
Physics,
is a good thing?
Yeah!
No, but this is a good thing the way he has it set up, or are you?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying, like you were mentioning that the background could be a bit farther away, and I'm just saying that background could actually be far away, and it's just getting pulled so close because it's at 200 mil.
I don't think so, because the shadow hits it pretty strongly from the Sharpie on the left, the second to the left.
But only one of the shadows hits it.
Yeah, so one of them is close. My point, though, would be take the background out of the equation, move it really far, and make it soft instead of detailed. The Sharpies will stand out, and you can still do the compressing thing with focal length and so on, and it would draw your eye more to the Sharpie instead of the contrasty parts of the glinting light in the back of the thing.
See, I kind of like that.
Okay, well, there you go.
I kind of like that it was stuck into the styrofoam and the back had it. And I don't know if styrofoam is the right word for it, but I like that. And I like that's the way of holding the Sharpies up, is just poking the holes in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to sitting on a table and having who knows what in the background. So I like the amount of control that got into the shot.
What do you think, Gabriel?
I think my theory with this shot is that it was everything was made black and white except for the tips of the pencils, and so that's why everything sort of blends into each other and is the same tone. But I think if you're going to do that, you have to put the color more centered in the image.
I don't know if that's the case, though.
I don't know, because there looks like there's a slight color in the actual grays of the pens.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Then again, it could just be that our eyes playing tricks on us.
It could just be that I'm the only one using a calibrated monitor.
You can't read your Mac. That's okay. I'm just using my Mac.
Yeah, I'm using my Mac too. So I don't know.
Well, Macs still have to be calibrated, young man.
I don't know. I'm on the fence because I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting photo. It makes me want to like it. The OCD in me loves the photo because of all the time it took to line these things up properly. And I just, again, my OCD is kicking in because I want to put the caps on the pens. I don't want them to dry out. It's like freaking me out.
But definitely interesting. I like it.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Okay,
Okay, let's move along.
You're going to go use these pens, and they're going to be dry.
I know. They don't even smell good.
Uh,
Grape and stuff.
all right. Oh,
So this is Robert's photo.
okay.
This is a viciously sharp pencil.
Yeah, it's not as, when I look at the thumbnail here, like this pencil part here looks incredibly over-sharpened, like over-processed. But when I zoom in and see it at full size, it actually doesn't look too bad. I like that.
I thought the opposite.
I was actually on your side of things here.
Well, it's not
Right.
as over-processed as I thought it was. Like when you zoom out here, it looks chunky, right? I can see like there's some editing around here, which is sort of really weird, and there's some haloing around here, which I don't quite understand, and it's making me fearful and angry. And there's some
Like
weird
Donald Trump.
editing. Like there's some weird sort of fuzzy areas here. I don't know what those are and stuff, but it's definitely sharp.
Yeah. It looks like it's a focus stack. And it looks like the fuzzy parts you're talking about are mist stack focus points.
I would agree that maybe some focus stacking was involved. My confusion is with the difference in like color, like the fringing around some things. Like there's that piece of graphite in the back that looks like it's sitting on a lighter piece of material.
Yes.
Right.
Which could be that if focus stacking was involved and there was a slight change in each stack, and it would be introducing that fuzziness in each picture, that's where we'd get some of these odd shapes from. Because the stacking of the slight gray on top of the slight gray on top of the slight gray could effectively change the overall brightness of it, maybe? I'm not sure.
Well, here's my thought. A
Could
lot
be
of photos...
the toning highlight option.
A lot of shots like this that you see, there's like a very stark white background. And the background on this is more just kind of like paper color.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't really give that feel, that stock photo feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm a pencil kind of guy, as you can see. I'm like all about the pencil. Always love the pencil.
He bought the Apple Pencil for $100. Doesn't even own an iPad.
Yeah, sure. But no, I mean seriously, as a pencil guy, I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but I need to feel the wood. You know what I mean, Gabriel? Sometimes you just got to feel the wood. No?
I think that, you get a nice feeling of texture.
I'm not going there.
Something about that's what she said.
I know. No, but seriously, like the texture of the wood, it almost looks plasticky, just because of the processing. And the processing could just be the stacking. It could be clarity. It could be anything. But bottom line is, it doesn't really have that wood feel. It more has a plasticky kind of feel.
And I want to know what's up with the fuzziness around the tip. Is that to make the tips look sharp?
It could.
Or
Again,
is that
I'm
like a
thinking that's
processing error?
I think that's a stacking thing.
Yeah.
Or it could just be the highlights, the sharpness adjustment, and then going in afterwards and trying to adjust some things. I'm not sure. I'd be curious to know.
Yeah.
You don't know how it was adjusted.
Definitely looks sharp though. Like I would not run with that pencil.
No.
way.
No. And I wouldn't slide that pencil behind my ear.
Well, it just can't go in.
That would be painful.
But I
Don Hennessy is just watching. He says he was just out for a bit. He had to do the driveway. So welcome back, Don. Thank you for watching.
They say whoever said if you do something right the first time, you won't have to do it again. Never shovel the Canadian driveway.
Especially yesterday.
Yeah.
And now I've got a ridge, a mountain ridge, that the plows left in front of my driveway that I have to go shovel after the show. Yay.
Yeah. I gotta say though, I do like the idea of the shot, the pencil shavings in the background, it sitting on the hand, like the little handheld pencil sharpener, the graphite everywhere. I like that. I think it adds to the shot. I think it's more creative. You see the two different colors of wood, so you get that sharp contrast between the light and the dark color in the actual wood shavings themselves.
Good points.
So overall, I definitely like the picture. And I know we've been poking at it a lot because of the editing behind it, but I like the overall idea of the shot as well. I thought that was an important thing to get into.
No, and I'm glad you did too, because it's a good photo and the concept's fantastic. It's just, we're at the point where we're looking for the details.
Yeah.
Especially from Robert. I have a very high level of expectation from Robert.
Now, to be fair though, I don't know if he's ever posted something before that was focus stacked. If he did focus stack this,
well,
and so I'm impressed with him attempting a focus stack, putting it together, working on it, and then submitting it, because focus stacking is a challenging thing, and I got to say that I've only tried it a couple times, and albeit it's been when I'm trying with a bunch of bad things working in my favor, it's never really worked out for me. So I like that he's gotten something to actually work for him.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I did a focus stack photo for one of my challenges when I was in the Arcanum, and I was all proud of it. The mushroom photo, I thought it looked really good, and just comment after comment of how you can see that it was stacked here, and you can see that it was stacked here, and the little fuzzy bits that are, very similar to what we're noticing on this shot here, where there was a focus point that was missed that I didn't see or notice in the edit and so on, and it was pointed out in the critique, and that's kind of what makes me want to give that same advice in a situation like this.
I think, the big thing to note here is that we all can't become, Don Komarechko overnight.
No, yeah, no kidding.
We haven't mentioned him so far, so I thought we'd slide that in.
And for those of you who are regular watchers, this is the point where you take your shot. Yes. So Taylor has a question. Taylor's new to our community as well. She asks, wondering if you guys can help me out trying to learn how to use manual mode. My ISO is at 100, shutter speed's at 2/50th of a second, my aperture is at f14, and my photos are black. I tried playing around with it, but they're silly coming out black. I think she meant to say they're still coming out black. My thought would be your shutter speed's very fast, your aperture is very small, and your ISO is very low. Those three things combine to make a very dark photo.
Yes.
So,
depending on the situation you're in.
Sure, yeah, unless you're adding studio strobes where you're pushing light out like crazy, or you're under
outside on a sunny day.
On a bright sunny day. Right, but otherwise, if you're doing that under normal lighting without assisted light, you're probably just not letting in enough light, so the picture is very dark. So slow the shutter down, open up the aperture, raise the ISO, and your picture will be bright.
Yeah, it's like, why is your aperture at 14? Is there a reason that you need that much depth of field? Try it at f4.
Yeah.
And so if you want to get a little bit more, just jumping in here, a little bit more kind of hands-on options as far as these things go, you can reach out to each of us as well as Google Plus has a message service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
We can always reach out to you as well, and we can go back and forth. I'll volunteer to do it. I'll reach out to you. Get a little bit more background on what it is you're trying to shoot. Get a little bit of background on kind of what you're going for, where you're shooting, and I'll more than happily help you out and figure out the manual mode of your camera.
There you go. So Taylor, contact
I'll
Phil.
the message after the show.
And Phil will contact you. Very good. Perfect. And if you want to share those photos to the community, then you'll get everybody helping you out as well.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Thanks, Phil.
Well,
and
right.
Don actually had a comment about Robert's photo. He says he had a look and zoomed in. He also thinks it's focus stacked. And the pencil point with the surrounding shavings would be hard to repair after stacking. And I think that's what we're noticing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is, I believe, the last or second last photo, aside from my pictures. Last
yes.
one. And juvenile bald eagle, yeah, sharp. I mean,
Yeah.
Gabe, you were at the Birds of Prey session when Sam was explaining how sharp those beaks are.
Yeah.
Sunk into his elbow and it couldn't get the beak out of his arm. He severed nerves in his arm.
Nice.
His elbow. Yeah, they are sharp and powerful, these birds.
And the talons, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All I can think of when people say talons is Napoleon Dynamite. Like, do the chickens have large talons?
I gotta watch that movie again because it's always referenced, and I watched it once, and I did not get it.
I don't think it gets better the second time around.
Okay.
Well, I'm not much for Napoleon Dynamite, but I can tell you that this photo is very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very sharp, very clean, nice detail in the feathers. What do you guys think of potentially cropping away the back a little bit, though, behind the bird, and bringing it in close. Like if you do this kind of thing, and you hold this over the top of the photo, so that your thumb is covering the left side and the top is covering the top of the bird just a little bit.
Okay.
And then you just kind of bring it into just the bird and the fish and the tree in the background to the right. See, again, I'm kind of thinking the way my eye is being drawn to the tail of the bird.
Oh, there's a lot of brightness behind it.
Right, and the fish in its talons and what it's doing to the fish is lost until I get in close and I look in closer. So by cropping away a little bit of the top and the left, it would kind of draw me into the part of the bird that I wanted to see. Suggestion, not by any means saying you should. It's just I think my eye would flow easier to the focal point, which is the bird going down on or going to town on the fish.
Or a gradient filter going from left to right to reduce in the highlights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would do it too if you want to keep the composition the way it is. Yeah, excellent shot. Anything to add, Phil?
No, I think we pretty much covered over everything. I like the fact that it's sharp, bird's sharp, it's eating. Really creative shot, and hard to catch as it's doing that. Too.
Yeah.
What's
the timing? Very nice.
I don't see a focal length on it, but I'm guessing it's higher than 50.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the photo details aren't listed. Oh, it would have to be higher than 50. I mean, you're looking 300. But the clarity on the wood, on the beak, on the feathers, I mean, it's very well done. Very, very well done clarity. Nice stuff. And, of course, last but certainly not least,
we're done.
This one.
This one.
I think this one's an okay shot. It's got some issues.
Still see that extra 5%,
I know.
No.
I know.
That extra 15%.
Some guy who doesn't know how to use a camera made this one. So.
We should teach him manual mode.
Oh, that's probably a good idea. Okay, no,
right.
I just wanted to quickly mention how I did this. This was a light painted shot. I used a red flashlight, a white flashlight, and a blue flashlight. The red I painted onto the green apple, because it's actually a green apple. And then I used the white flashlight to light up the cut parts of the apple, and to light up the name Leatherman and the blade. And then I used a blue flashlight kind of to hover around the Leatherman to give it a chromish look to the metal instead of just a stark white. Mm-hmm. This has not been edited at all. This is straight out of camera. Not a touch of edit, not a crop, nothing. Just all done in camera in a 77-second exposure at 100 ISO f14. Just a fun shot.
Handheld.
Handheld. Yes. No, not at all. Yeah, no. I mean, there can absolutely be things that can be cleaned up, like the reflection of the garbage can underneath the cut part of the apple, the darkness on the apple part itself that was cut, because that's some of the red flashlight that lit some of the white part. And Gabe, you mentioned that to me before we went live on the air. Makes sense.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do apple, you want to do candy apple, like the way that you've got that highlight here. If the whole apple was like that, then Snow White would be tricked by the witch. But if the witch is walking up to her with this, she'd be like, you know what? Listen, you crazy old lady, come back with a fresh apple and I'll eat it.
Okay, well, this isn't a fairy tale apple apparently, so.
In the new version of Snow White, it's just an iPhone.
Totally. Yeah.
Go away. All right, cool. So let's move along. That was it for our photo challenge. Now we have to give away some prizes. The winner. There are 3 different prizes that we give away. We give first, second, third place. First place gets 6 points. Second place gets 4 points, and third place gets 2 points. And if there are any honorable mentions, they get a point each. Those points will be added to the current running total. Currently, the winner, or the leader, I should say, is, let's see, who's the leader right now? We've got tied for first place Julie Braca and Mark Moore. They each have 6 points. And then in second place we have Sheila Burgess with 4, Jennifer Newberry with 4, and Don Hennessy with 4 points each. So there's some pretty cool stuff going on. Oh, wait, I guess that, yeah, a little soon for that. But anyway, so yeah, there's a nice, everybody's submitting photos, everybody's getting involved in the photo challenges, and you guys are doing great work with your photos that you've submitted for us. So why don't we get right to it and announce third place for tonight's photo challenge. And third place this week is Kim Nortby with her eagle photo.
Hey.
Well done. Now this one we picked because, you know, difficulty getting a photo like this is very high. You have to have dedication to be out there to find the bird. You have to have proper settings so that there's clarity and there's sharpness. It's not over-processed. And that really goes a long way to why we chose this one as our third place prize this week. So good job to Kim. Thank you so much. All right, now second place this week goes to Don Hennessy for his razor photo. Gabriel, Don Hennessy?
It's there.
Huh?
Is it not there?
No.
Oh.
You don't see it?
No. Hang on, let's try this again. Ready? Third place, or second place today goes to
I see that.
Don Hennessy.
On my screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Gabriel is new to Google Plus, apparently.
No, I saw it on my screen.
So yeah, this place, we picked this one here because the concept, the editing technique he used, the tone and the impact that it had, just a great shot. So well done, Don, on this one. And actually, this was rolled into my reveal for who's in second place with 4 points. I forgot to not mention this one. But anyway, good job. Well done, well done. And first place this week goes to... No, not that picture at all.
Surprise!
Goes to Mark Moore for his photo of the dart in the eye. And of course, this one we picked because the concept is pretty awesome. The editing is flawless. Lighting is very good. Focus and sharpness is perfect. Clarity is excellent. There's no chunkiness to the photo. So great job and great. Thank you so much for submitting. So well done to you, Mark. This officially puts you in the lead right now with 12 points. And the reveal, the big reveal, will be April, I believe. Yes, April 13th is when we're announcing the final winner of a $350 Daytripper photo gift card, which you can use toward any session you want this year, including the overnight session or the wedding session or, you know, the indoor other sessions, portraiture, or any of the other sessions that we have. So many sessions, I don't remember all of them off the top of my head.
Okay.
Maybe I'll say something.
Something.
All right, cool. So that's pretty much it for us this week. Anything else to add before we say goodnight, guys?
No, I think that's...
Thank you, everybody, for submitting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And for caring and or not caring for about our opinion.
Yeah, and again, you always say it best about our opinion, Gabriel.
If you agree with us, you're right. If you disagree with us, you're right.
Perfect. So the next photo challenge for 3 weeks from today is going to be a really fun one and could potentially add some controversy out there in the world of Daytripper or other people locally to us. It's going to mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and the challenge that we're issuing now is raw. So it doesn't mean shooting raw. It doesn't mean raw rules. It could be anything. It could be raw sushi. It could be, you know, you scratched yourself raw. It could be vegetables. I mean, this is something that anything from vegans to photographers would absolutely love to talk about. Unedited pictures. It could be anything. So really, I'm anxious to see what everybody interprets the photo challenge for raw. It'll be a lot of fun. Get out there and make some great shots, guys. I hope you enjoy the photo challenges that we issue, and you keep on submitting. Lots of cool stuff to win, and hopefully, if the things work out, we'll have some cool swag eventually to pass on to you. And we're going to close off today's show with a quote. Today the quote is from John Berger. The quote is, "What makes photography a strange invention is that its primary raw materials are light and time." So if you want to get right to what raw is, the raw base of photography is just light and time. And that's a lot of fun. All right, Gabe, before we say goodnight, where can folks get a hold of you?
If you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me at gabriel@bousquetphotography.ca. It's like bouquet, but with an S. And I'd be happy to help out.
Very cool. And I don't know if everybody realizes, but anytime somebody comes to me and asks for a portrait photographer or a wedding photographer, I always divert that business to Gabriel or Navi. I mean, these two are stellar, spectacular professional photographers. And Gabe, of course, with your IT, anytime anybody needs any image rescue software or taken care of or hard drives recovered, Gabe is my guy for that. So just
I'm doing a shoot with Navi tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh, is that right? Doing what?
I either don't remember or am under NDA and can't speak about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. I'm under NDA and don't remember.
Or a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Tequila.
And Phil, on that note, where can folks get a hold of you?
As of right now, Google Plus is probably your best bet. I am working on a new site, in which case I will have an actual contact again, which would be really exciting.
Very cool.
It's the most reliable way is to either do that or to get my phone number from Ryan or from the Google place. You can just message me and I'll give it to you. And then you can just contact me whenever you want.
And, of course, people should realize about you, you're a Henry's former School of Imaging, now Learning Lab instructor.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for a very long time. You know your stuff.
Years now, long time. And I'm just working on getting myself back into shooting a lot more than I used to. And so that'll be really exciting because I feel a little rusty.
Yeah, I get that. You need some forcing yourself to do some fun things.
That it is. And so I'm definitely going to be submitting a picture just for fun, but for the next the Raw Challenge.
Awesome. Very cool.
I planned to do one for this, but nothing came out the way I wanted it to, and I ended up running out of time.
Well, also, sometimes you go to submit a photo or create a photo, and you realize somebody else has made something similar.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, well, I'm not gonna go there now.
We can't both wear that dress to the party.
I know.
Yeah. One of us is going to have to change, and it's probably you.
Awkward. All right, cool. So that's very great. And if anybody needs to get a hold of me, you can get me at brian@daytripperphoto.com. That's Brian with the Y in. And, of course, check out daytripperphoto.com for any information about upcoming day trips. There's always something new coming up. And, actually, March is a very light month. We don't have anything booked for March right now.
And check out the blog.
Yeah, thank you. I've been doing these little blog things on daytripperphoto.com. If you go to the tips and techniques part of it, every time I find some new technique that I've tried and made some great success with, or what I think is great success, and again, that's just I've learned something and I feel I should pass it on, I'll write a little blog post about it. So the most recent one was the Flash, talking about the pop-up flash, how it's actually an effective tool for a lot of people when people think that it's just a piece of crap. But check it out, daytripperphoto.com. There. All right, guys, that's it. We're out. End of the show. Thank you both so much this week.
Good night.
And thank you, everybody, for watching, and we hope you all have a great week. See you all next week on the Tips and Technique Show. Oh, and by the way, Tips and Technique next week is the top 5 tips for Lightroom and for Photoshop. So
exciting.
Tune into that, and there's going to be some really cool stuff that we'll talk about. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Make Donald Trump again.